a little backstory. My dad, at that time, I think he was like in graduate school or he was doing something at K-State and he was working, I think it's like a janitor in like a federal building, but he had to travel every once in a while for something. And so we had gone on a road trip, like a 2-hour road trip. And on that road trip, he had been reading Dune. So he went through and just told me the story of Dune as we took this drive. And then at the end of it, he was like, and they're making a movie about it. And I was like, what? Everything you just told me is going to be on a movie? Oh my word. And then I remember it was such a big deal before it came out. And then, like we started getting more information about it. He said, Zeb, I heard how long the movie is. 2 hours. And I was like, what? 2 hours? So it's like a never ending film. It's just never going to end. I was so jazzed. And then I remember, I just am just remembering this. Like the day it came out, I think that my mom saw in the newspaper that it was PG-13. And it was, screeching halt.
Verboten.
Yeah, can Zeb go see this movie? And I had read in the newspaper the review because I was so excited for it. And I had like read why it was PG-13, and I was like, Mom, it's PG-13 for some violence, some sci-fi action, and a little sex. And it's one of those moments as a kid when you say something and you realize that you shouldn't have said it because like just the air went out of the room. My mom scowled at my father. I had to leave, and they talked a little bit. I don't know what my dad said, but I'm sure he told her that that he would cover my eyes if anything got too rude. And so we got to go see the film. This is what I'm supposed to do, right? Just a big stream of consciousness. Feel free to jump in whenever you want.
You're nailing it.
We can guide you along a little too, as well.
No, I like that. I like the whole idea of you and your mom. Was that the first time you had even said the word sex in front of her?
Oh, I'm positive.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
So she heard the word sex
come out of
your mouth
because of this film. To convince
her to go. It's like, it's a little sex.
It's a little sex. It was a little sex.
But I love that there was no way that your dad, you had become his like movie buddy at this point. I mean, he had told you everything about it. I mean, it could have had graphic sex and you were going just like, what I mean?
So.
Like,
yeah. I think so. I think it had become Christmas at this point. So it's like, there was just no way Christmas was getting canceled. We had been talking about this. We had been, I was so excited to see how they were going to do these shields that my dad had described to me. He really done a great job of describing the movie. And so we went, and I don't know if you guys know this or remember this, but I think, and I've looked it up later, but I guess the studio was completely freaking out about this movie because it was very esoteric.
Oh yeah.
And so when you got there, they handed you a pamphlet that basically told you all of, it was a glossary of terms, of things you needed to know to enjoy this movie. And it was cool, but like I knew all that stuff. Like I had my dad there.
But for a kid, that must have seemed like you were like, oh my God, this is going to be the most amazing film I've ever seen. They're giving me a book.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
There's homework. Right? Totally.
Yeah. Cause and you were just like pouring over it.
Yeah.
Has there been another movie that's ever done that? I mean, that's foreign to me. I've never gotten a pamphlet.
Not that I know of. But I think this was a studio that thought that they, when they probably greenlit Dune, it was like, okay, we got our Star Wars, let's go. And they were
Right.
probably doing whatever they needed.
That's what it was. They
Yeah,
wanted
to
they wanted a
try.
new Star Wars.
Yeah. And it was just, I know that I enjoyed the film, but it was one of the earliest times where you felt like something didn't live up to what was in your brain. And I'm not saying I didn't love the movie. I'm ride or die for Dune 1984. I do legitimately love that film. But in my childhood brain, it was going to be like a day and a half long film that completely had every single thing that my dad had told me about. And I wasn't aware that they had to cut things out of these movies. So I was just confused. I was a little confused about what wasn't in the movie.